Oftentimes, when I make videos and write blogs that are critical of black women, some black women will come back and threaten not to buy any of my books. What's sad is that someone like Steve Harvey can go out and tell lies to black women, and those same black women will then go out and buy millions of copies of his books, like Act Like a Lady, Think Like a Man. While a man like Shawn James, who presents positive images of African American women, balanced images of African American women, and humanized images of African American women, is threatened with a boycott from those same African American women, all because he expresses a difference of opinion. Yes, I am critical of African American women, but I'm critical of African American women because I care about African American women, and I understand that African American women and the way they behave directly reflects on African American men. Because a man who wants to be involved with an African American woman wants his woman to behave in a way that reflects positively on him. And this is something that, flies over the head, sadly, of many black women, out here. They think that me being critical, I'm being some sort of misogynist and I hate black women. No, that's not the case at all. The man who loves you is the man who cares enough about you to point out what you're doing wrong and kind enough to pull you to the side and tell you what you're doing wrong so that you won't go out here and embarrass yourself or, embarrass the race by participating in dysfunctional and debaucherous behavior. That's the man who cares about you. That's what a father would do. That's what a good brother would do. That's what I do in my family right now to my sisters and my cousin in cases whenever I would talk to them. I mean, that's just what I would do. And that's what I'm trying to do with blogs and videos to help the African American woman. And, I do that also in my work and my writing. And I feel that those black women who are so offended, you're the ones who are going to miss out because as a man who loves black women and truly cares about them enough to criticize, behaviors that I see that are completely detrimental and completely dysfunctional, I'm the guy who will go out here and try to create, an African American superhero like the ISIS character so that little black girls have a hero all their own. Because when you go to the mainstream companies, they're not making, the black girl to be the main hero in the story. Instead, she, like Claudine Wolfe or some of these other characters out here, is the token in the background. In my stories, the Isis character is in the foreground. She's the goddess next door. She's in a prominent position. And I'm putting the black woman up at the forefront, talking about black women's culture, black women's history, and Egyptian mythology, and showing you a black face as an Egyptian goddess. And I'm the guy, out here who's also, trying to show you other parts of black culture. I'm the guy who writes the stories about, African Americans in sororities like the Thetas. A book some black women have said were surprised that a man actually wrote it because I put a fair and balanced picture of African American women in this story. And a lot of women, all over the world connected it with it, not just black women, but women of other races as well, because it is so well constructed and so well written. And I'm the guy, who's out here talking about other black cultures like the goth subculture. And I did that with the Spinsterella novel that just came out, a couple of months ago. And in this one, I explore African American goth subculture, which is something that, mainstream media won't produce. Nobody, as I've seen, has ever, even written a novel about the African American goth subculture. And I'm the one putting, positive images of black women, trying to show that, you know, every black woman just doesn't fit into one box and that they don't follow one narrative. And I'm trying to put those different views out here. And I'm the guy, who goes out here and writes, a black screenplay about black actresses in Hollywood, like All About Marilyn. And in this story, I talk all about the struggles that black actresses go through for some of the sisters go through, um, trying to get roles, trying to get scripts, and their struggles, trying to find work in Hollywood. And in the sister book, All About Nikki, I talk about black girls in Beverly Hills. And nobody, as I've seen, outside of Hillary on the Fresh Prince, has shown us an image of a black family or a black person, you know, who comes from that area. I have not seen that image in years. And to say that, you're not going to buy my books because I present, criticism of black women, I find that to be very sad because, again, you're missing out on some of the most positive and balanced images of African American women. I mean, if I am critical again, that's because I care. It is not because I hate black women or I'm bashing black women. It is because I love black women enough, again, to pull them to the side and try to speak to them so that they can get information that will help them in the long run. If a man does, again, if a man cares about you, he's going to pull you to the side and speak to you because he understands that, you know what you're doing is detrimental to you, what is destructive to you, and he's trying to keep you from hurting yourself. A person who loves you is going to do that. Meanwhile, a guy who's just going to let you go on believing what you believe, like your Steve Harveys, like your Tyler Perrys, like your Lee Daniels, they're just going to let you go on, continuing to make the exact same mistakes, continuing to let your head, hit against the wall, and you never learn what you need to grow. What I find, is sad is that I can go to those very same black men in the community that many of these men like your Steve Harveys and your Tyler Perrys and your Lee Daniels bash up as bad guys, and I can talk to those guys, and they'll get what I'm putting down, learn from it, and then grow from it because I've gotten feedback from those guys. But when it comes down to some black women, what they do is they want to threaten me with some sort of economic boycott, not understanding that you're not just hurting me, you're really hurting yourself and you're hurting your community because when you take money, when you refuse to spend money with a black owned business like mine, all you're doing is keeping money outside of, out of your community that would be used to, help you because every dollar that I get, I try to reinvest into the SJS Direct Publishing imprint so I can pay for things, like covers like these and, be able to make that first impression on readers. I can go out and try to do different promotions for different books. And I can go out and do things that will, enhance the image of African American women in literature. Because I look at the image of African American in literature and it's in the sewer. And it's been in the sewer, sadly, since about 2007. I say 1999 when Terry Woods came out with that True to the Game and Omar Tyree came out with that Fly Girl. And ever since then, the African American female image has been in the sewer. I mean, it's just garbage. I mean, we have some of the most debaucherous tales regarding the African American woman and the image of the African American woman. Yet, black women will go out and buy those books, presenting her as the Black Jezebel, presenting her as a Sapphire, presenting her as a Mammy, presenting her as a tragic mulatto. But when I try to, criticize black women about these images, they'll go out and tell me that they're not buying my books. Uh, I just find that to be really, really sad that, I have to pretty much be a liar in order to sell books to black women, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not. Because I have enough integrity, to stand by my message and stand by my mission. And my mission was to present positive stories about the African American experience and diversify the African American book market and try to enrich the quality of life for African Americans. And that's why I write, blogs like your Why 70% of Black Women Are Single or Why Black Women Will Be Single for the Rest of Their Lives or What Women Don't Know About Being a Side Piece or even ebooks like Why 70% of Black Women Are Single. I want black women to have the information that will allow them to enrich their lives and empower themselves. And yes, that information may hurt to hear, but that when you hurt, what I learned is from working at the Strive program 15 years ago is that pain is what leads to growth. Because when I was working at the Strive program, we dealt with the worst of the worst. We dealt with the ex-offenders, we dealt with the homeless, we dealt with single mothers, we dealt with the worst of the worst. We dealt with the virtually what people called unemployable. And we had to come hard at those people for them to understand they had a problem. Yes, some of those people got upset. Yes, some of those people cried. But what they had was the strength of character to suck up their insecurities and their feelings and listen to someone who was trying to help them, because their approaches to getting jobs weren't working, their approaches to life weren't working, and they had to listen to someone, tell the truth to them in order to grow. And in order for them to grow, they had to acknowledge the problems they were having. But what I find, because of these enablers like your Steve Harveys, like your Tyler Perrys, like your Lee Daniels, black women wind up remaining in the victim position, and they never reach the point where they acknowledge the problems that they have with all of their social relationships, not just those relationships with black men. And they never get to the point where they say, this isn't working. I need to try something different, something that will help me grow, something that will help me change, and something that will help me do better. They don't want to listen to a guy like me because I'm trying to tell them something, and you have three enablers maintaining a codependent relationship with them. And this codependent relationship is what's driving your African American community to the ground, because, these enablers, they don't care about the African American woman. All they care about is making money off the African American woman. And all they want to do is sell their books to the African American woman, promising them, a solution to whatever ails her, whether it be her insecurities about her hair, like in Happily Ever After, or Steve Harvey's Act Like a Lady, Think Like a Man, or Terry McMillan's Waiting to Exhale, which promised, which just was telling women that this is why you were single, but never telling her the truth that allows her to work towards constructive solution. Yes, these books sell millions of copies, but at the end of the day, your African American woman still remains, just as dysfunctional as she was before she read them, and she never really learns anything. And what's the saddest part is, I have I try to write books that help black women, and I really care about black women, but I'm the one who's called the misogynist, the sexist. I'm threatened with people not wanting telling me that they won't buy my books for speaking on certain issues. But the man who cares about you is the man who's going to speak to you. The man who doesn't care about you is the one who's going to be silent. And sadly, many black women don't understand this. They'd rather, see no evil, hear no evil, and speak no evil, and remain, blind, deaf, and dumb, than, have their eyes open, listen, and then think about something that could educate them and enrich them. And I'm hoping, that people watch this video and come to an understanding about, my message and my mission, because I truly care about black women again, and I want them to have the best quality of life possible. This is why I go out of my way to write so many, positive images of black women, because I understand that the black woman is a teacher of culture. And in order for her to teach her children and to teach herself, she needs to be reading the right materials, because you are what you read, and what you imbibe in your mind is very pretty much forces is what how you think. And if you're thinking the right way, you can teach your children, the values that will enable them to grow. And this is one of the stories that I'm going to be coming out in 2016. This is a major theme of the book I'm writing, ISIS Imitation of Life, which is, inspired by the 1934 film Imitation of Life. And in this story, I show the black side of, Jim Crow and black town in a black town, and things like that. And I want to show, there were positive people back then who were in black towns, and this is the type of culture that I'm trying to teach, and this is what I'm trying to, because I know that if you get the right materials and you put the right information in your mind, then you can teach your children, positive perception of self, and teach them a sense of self-worth, and a sense of, self-confidence, and, a complete value, in being black. And yes, I am critical of black women, but I want to see, the quality of life improve in the black community. I want to see black people do better and be better. And if you can't take criticism, then you can't grow. I mean, I've had to take lots of criticism as a writer over the last 20 years, and I have to, accept it, suck it up, and move on. And, if somebody is saying something to help me, it'll help me. And it's going to help me be a better writer. But what I'm finding is that some African American women don't want to be better women. They just want to remain in the same position, and then they want more people to remain miserable in their company. And I'm urging black women to join me in trying to improve the quality of life in the black community and improve, the quality of things in the black community by reading some positive African American fiction, reading different perceptions of black people, because the black women who have read my books, like them, and they'll say, I'm glad that you're producing books that don't feature profanity, don't feature lots of graphic sex, and present black women, as humanized, balanced people. And, I produce books that, you can give to a child, like the ISIS series, and books like All About Nikki, which a child could pretty much read and get an image of black that makes that child see themselves in a balanced and humanized light. And this is what I try to do on a daily basis. And it's like most black women who get offended by what I say in certain videos, they don't understand what I'm trying to present. And I'm trying to help black people by presenting those points because I want them to grow. I want them to take a look at that, those behaviors, and see how detrimental they are so they can, start making efforts to do better and to be better. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. And I have a whole host of positive black fiction on Amazon.com. Just click the link in the description box. And there are lots of great books there. And if you want to share them with your family, I urge you to do so because, again, many books like those in my ISIS series, you can give to a small child. Books like All About Nikki's First Season, you can give that to a small child. And they can get started on the road to reading. So just head over to the link on the Amazon description box and you'll find a whole host of great black titles that will enrich and, improve the quality of your life.